Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm just gonna be doing a little review on my 2024 yz250f. I'm a bit of a slower rider. I just want to let you know. I've been only like riding for about like a year and a half, so it's kind of explainable. First off, I'm gonna talk about like why I bought the bike in the first place, and it wasn't because of the hype. I actually went to a Yamaha demo day and I was trying to see if I would like the 252 stroke, and I was even contemplating if I should try the 254 stroke they had there, but I wanted to try it out and compare it to my KX 250 that I had that day. And that one's a 2018, so it's not like a newer one, so I can't really compare it with the newer bike. But I really liked the Yamaha, and it wasn't because of the hype. I didn't care. I really didn't care to like even try the 250F, but I heard a lot of good things about it, so I hopped on it, and it was better than I expected. I did notice immediately that the bottom end wasn't as strong as my Cowie, and that 2018 KX 250F, it's kind of a more lower end motor. So this bike, it really like showed that it did not have that much bottom. The suspension felt pretty good, a little bit soft. I do weigh about 185, maybe even at the time like 190. But I really liked the bike. I did notice when I did test it on that demo day, the front brake wasn't that good. Wasn't nearly as strong. I think I missed a corner. But so once I tried that out, I realized I really wanted this bike, and I saved up the money and bought it during the summer, like halfway through the summer. I'm just gonna hop into like what are my thoughts about the bike, and first off is the engine. I'm putting everything, like all the different sections I have, on a scale from 0 to 10. I give the engine a 5 out of 10. The reasons why is because out of the box it's extremely lackluster on the bottom, but it does pick up really good in the mid and the top, and there are easy, cheap fixes for the bottom end. It kind of sucks because in the previous years they were much stronger on the bottom, and now they're quite lackluster to a point where it could be almost like dangerous for newer riders. Especially like with me, I don't usually drop bikes. I try to take care of them as much as I possibly can, and I've dropped mine so much. Like I've only had this bike for maybe like half a year, probably less than that. And I think I've dropped it more than any other bike I've had combined. So yeah, the power on the bottom is very lackluster, and it can lead to almost dangerous situations with how tall it is. But honestly, it's given me like really good throttle and clutch control, so it's actually kind of a bonus if you look at it in that way. But if you are a beginner and maybe if you are newer and you're a little bit shorter, maybe you should look into that and see if that's really what you want, because it is a tall bike. Okay, now let's talk about the suspension. I gave the suspension an 8 out of 10. It's pretty good. I am a little bit heavy for stock springs. I'm about like 185 pounds, and it does have like a bit of a harsh feeling, but that's probably because I'm just too heavy. When it was breaking in, like halfway through breaking in, it was perfect. I couldn't have asked for better suspension. Like halfway through the break-in, while it's still a little bit stiffer, oh my god, like that was amazing. I've never had suspension even come close to feeling like that, and it was so good. I mean, that's really all I have to say about the suspension. It's just pretty much dialed from factory, and honestly, if I was you, I wouldn't mess with it unless you're a little bit heavier. Then maybe put stiffer springs, or if you're lighter, put lighter springs. Now, let's talk about one of the most important parts about the bike, the chassis. The chassis is great. I give it a 9 out of 10. Now, I can't tell you everything about the chassis and how it exactly flexes, because I'm not a fast guy, as you can see in the video. I'm actually really slow, but I am a very picky rider. One of the reasons why I marked it down a point was because of the foot peg mounts. They don't allow you to like grip onto the bike well, but it's an easy fix, especially if you have an angle grinder. You can just knock that out in like 30 minutes. or you can honestly just go online and buy the 2025 foot peg mounts, and then that issue is fixed. Another part that people like to talk about when it comes to the chassis is the seat. People hate the rounded seat, and while it is a little bit firm, personally, I love the rounded seat. The square seat just feels weird to me. I've had square seat on other bikes, and I feel like the rounded one just makes me feel at home. So yeah, I like that. I think it's actually a plus. I do feel like if I was a bigger person, I might feel a little bit cramped. I'm only 5'7", and I'm not a bigger person, but it feels like if I was bigger, it might be cramped. I'm not, so I can't really say anything about it, but that's just how I feel. Another part you might want to change is the handlebars. They're a bit stiff. That'll help you a lot. But let's go into one of my favorite things about this bike, which is the cornering. I give the cornering an 8 out of 10. It's amazing. You can just turn down as hard as you want and give it as much throttle, and it'll just track. It's really good. Some people did say some things about like the front end wandering. I haven't felt that yet, but I also probably wouldn't realize if it was happening. So I can't really say a whole lot about that, but to me it feels great. And ruts and sweeping corners in every corner, I just absolutely love the bike. Now let's talk about the brakes. I give the brakes a 7 out of 10. The front brake, it's not like as strong as other brakes, but over time I kind of got used to it. So if it's like the only bike you're gonna ride, you won't really notice it. You'll just hit the front brake harder. I've heard you can fix it with just like a steel braided front line. I'll probably do that at some point. But the rear brake seems to work just fine. Everything seems to work pretty good. Feels good. So honestly, just the front brake, just a little bit of a better line, and it would be perfect. One of my favorite parts about the bike is the maintenance. I give the maintenance a 10 out of 10. It's pretty easy, especially like if you're changing an air filter or just cleaning it. All you have to do is take off that front cover and it's out. While that system is a little bit janky and it looks like it could allow some dirt to get in, I feel pretty good about it. Like changing the oil is also pretty easy. You have that little sight glass, and also like it's not on the bottom, it's kind of like on the back of the motor where the drain bolt is, which I mean I couldn't care. But the one thing I really like about this bike is that the oil screen, like the stuff that catches a lot of different debris and stuff in the motor, is accessible through the outside. At least on my last bikes, it wasn't. So it's kind of nice that I can pull that out every single time I change the oil, and I can see that there's no metal pieces going through the motor. So that's nice. And yeah, it's just everything seems to be really easy. I can dump out the gas without having to remove any of the lines on the tank, which is another plus. Like if you ever have to leave your bike sitting for a while, or even like if you just get busy in life and the bike has to sit, you don't have to remove like any of the gas lines or the electrical things on the gas tank. You can just unbolt it and just pull it out and flip it over and dump any of the old gas you have in there into like a tank, and it just makes everything so much easier. It's easy to work on. I do want to talk about another thing, and it's not a good thing. It's the durability. It could just be newer bikes, but with this bike, and I used to have a 22 yz250f, it seems like the durability is not as good. The plastics seem to be a bit thinner. They bend easier, and the bolts seem like they would be a little bit easier to strip out, just slightly though. And it still has like amazing build quality. I don't know, it's just something I thought you may want to know. It just seems like, I don't know if it's just older bikes that I've had that are better and seem to have better build quality, but I mean it still has phenomenal build quality. I just wanted to let y'all know. Now, why should you buy this bike? I feel like the bike just breeds confidence with the great chassis paired with amazing suspension. Once you get the engine dialed, it is fantastic. It makes me feel perfect. Like, it's never the bike's issue. It's always my issue at this point, because I just feel so good on the bike, and it just makes me consistent. It makes me feel good, and it's just allowed me to become a better rider. Not I wouldn't say quicker, but I don't know, it allows me to do the things I need to do to make myself a better rider, and it does its part too. It's just comfortable in every way, and it makes me feel a lot, not faster, but it just makes me feel more confident. Other than the fixes and like the minor durability issues, which aren't really issues, just more like me complaining for no reason. But the sound, it is a really loud bike. I know people say it online, but for a while I kind of started to like hate riding. I didn't know why, and I figured out it was the sound. It would start to give me a headache after a while, which is pretty nuts. It's just so loud and in your face. You feel like it's in your head almost. It like shakes your head, or at least that's how it felt for me after a while. And I actually started wearing earplugs, which I found out was absolutely amazing, and I'll never ride without earplugs ever again. But yeah, there's really no downsides to this bike other than you have to fix a couple things. But like, what bike do you not? And if you're looking to buy this bike, you really can't go wrong with one. They do kind of get harder to start after a while, but I mean, that's just Yamahas. Overall, I give this bike an 8, actually not an 8, a 7.8 out of 10. It's close to an 8, but just there are some fixes you need to do, but with like quick fixes, you can easily get this to like an 8.5 out of 10. Not even costly fixes too. And yeah, it is really a good bike. I mean, 7.8 is really good. Is a really good bike off of like my scale. But if you are looking to get this bike, you really cannot go wrong. Just pick one up, especially if you're wanting a 254 stroke. It feels great. If you need to change anything, there's probably a part or somebody who can get you a somewhat cheap fix for your problem.